Hey guys, this is Tommy from the Ravens Creek Study. We've been tracing the Eternal Covenant through the entirety of the Bible. We've come to the book of Leviticus, is really where we're at now. And by the way, from here we're going to skip Numbers and Deuteronomy, and we're going to go straight into Joshua. But I want to look at priesthood and what priesthood signifies. We have in Leviticus 8 the consecration of Aaron and his sons. Now, I could get into kind of the pattern of the priestly consecration and how that shows forth beyond just what Aaron and his sons represent, but instead I want to kind of go even more basic than that. What's the point of priesthood at all? What's the point of Aaron and his sons? We looked at kind of how the temple and the tabernacle represent the heavenly throne room, and we examined how the Sinai was also a reflection of all of these. It was the earthly counterpart, as the heading says here. It's the earthly counterpart of the heavenly Jerusalem. We can kind of see that, and we can understand earthly counterparts. So, in what way is Aaron an earthly counterpart to the heavenly priesthood? Well, there's a problem in the Old Testament about priestliness. When you look at what it says in Leviticus, in Exodus, in Deuteronomy, it is explicit. The priest alone is allowed to offer the sacrifices. The priest alone is allowed to eat the consecrated bread. The priest alone, the Levite and the priest alone, are allowed to serve God in the tabernacle or in the courts. It is the priest and the Levite alone who are allowed to enter there. Everyone else kind of stands off. I mean, you go up to the altar and offer your sacrifice, but beyond that, you're really not allowed to do a whole lot when you're at the tabernacle or at the temple. If you're of the tribe of Benjamin or Ephraim or of the tribe of Judah or Issachar, if you're not a Levite or a priest, you're really limited to what you're allowed to do. So there's a problem that emits from the Old Testament just by a casual reading. You come to Samuel, who is offering sacrifices on behalf of Saul. Samuel was not a priest. Or you have David, who also offers a sacrifice on behalf of Jerusalem when he buys the threshing floor of Othniel, and he offers this sacrifice, and God accepts it. But David's of the tribe of Judah. Or what about Elijah on Mount Carmel? Elijah's not a priest. Why is it that these people of the Old Testament are able to do priestly things, perform priestly tasks, and they're not even doing it in Jerusalem? They're not even doing it at the tabernacle like they're supposed to be doing it. Now, as far as Samuel and David go, the temple wasn't built yet. The tabernacle wasn't in Jerusalem, but you get my point, though. They're not at the tabernacle where the priests are supposed to be offering these sacrifices. They're offering them on whatever mountain they want to. So what's happening here? This is where the idea of the Melchizedek priesthood enters in. You see David in Psalm 110:4. This is a coronation psalm for the priest, or for the king. David was called a priest after the order of Melchizedek. His sons, in, I believe it's 2 Samuel 8, it might be 1 Samuel 8, 2 Samuel 8, it has to be 2 Samuel 8. At the very end of 2 Samuel 8, David's sons are called Kohanim, they're called priests. But once again, they're of the tribe of Judah. They're not priests, they're not Levites, they're not born from Aaron. So what's going on here? The sons of David are priests after the order of Melchizedek. What is Melchizedek? We see Melchizedek first mentioned in Genesis 14, but let's be honest, what's really going on here with this Melchizedek fella? In Hebrews 5-7, we find Jesus is called the high priest of the order of Melchizedek. What we have neglected to understand is Aaron's priesthood was not the first mention of priestliness. Aaron was only a pattern or a reflection of the heavenly priesthood, which is later called the Order of Melchizedek. And it's called that before Jesus, by the way. Jesus is our high priest, and by this order, it's all Israel that is called to be a priestly nation. You see this in Exodus 19:6. And by the way, 1 Peter 2:11 and Revelation 1:6, where it's somewhat quoting this, changing the wording ever so slightly, that does not annul what was called to be Israel in Exodus 19:6. They're not trying to say, oh, but now God's doing this new thing over here. No. They're showing, just like Melchizedek was king of Salem and yet high priest of God Most High, so is Jesus king and high priest. So it is that we are rulers and priests, kings and priests. That's what's going on here. And that's what Israel was called to be as an entire nation. So, shorter video today than what has been recently. That's all I got for this priestliness, for priesthood. Next is the Conquest of Canaan. It'll be a few days, depending on when you're watching this video anyways, it'll be a few days before I put that up. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Grace and peace to you in Christ. Until next time.